their second heat race of the day, the first of our 7 semi-pro second heat races. So to come through the final corner of this track, I'm joined here by Simon Sykes in the booth. We get set to go for this 8-minute and 2-lap heat race. This Kutcher and Queen on the front row, getting set up, lined up in the tram lines, getting set to go. Here we go, looking for the lights as they come down the very long main straightaway, looking for him, and it looks like we got it. We're green into turn number 1, and already a good start there for Chris Kutcher on the inside as he'll file his way into the race lead coming out from one side.
Everybody side by side through turn number 1, all the way through the field, still side by side into Monza. Everyone's sorting themselves into a nice line. But you want to be careful you don't let the leaders run away with this early, so stay in line, make sure everyone's in fighting distance before you really hammer it out with each other. We already see Bonanno on the move in P3, looking up to that rear bumper of P2.
Yeah, Bonanno already making some good moves early on in this race. He's further up than we saw him really at any point in Heat 1, so a good recovery from him. And also, I think for Chris Kutcher to be in the race leads, we see Clay Settles looking for a move on the inside of Jakob Miri. Not going to happen there. There you can see the stack up behind him as Andy Kutcher tries to make a move. But for Chris Kutcher at the front, this is necessary. Got in an incident in Heat 1. He lost about 13 spots from it. So he needs a good heat here to set him up well for the pre-final.
Yeah, it certainly would be an excellent recovery. Won't go all the way to fixing his starting spot for the pre-final later today, but certainly could help improve his position as the top 3 is starting to be reeled in by P4, 5, and 6. And there we see a move from Queen going up the inside, down the front straight. He'll bring Bonanno with him. Bonanno taking a chance, looking for the lead himself, not going to go that time as behind them it looks like Jakob Neri into P4, still holding that spot. And we see a big 6-cart group contact into Monza.
Yeah, Clay Settles tried to get that 4th spot from Neri, and he just overcooked it a little bit, and that really split up the group. Bologna on the curb there, and the scoreboard trying to get by Neri as well. So for Jakob Neri, he lost a solid 4 spots there. Unfortunate for him, unfortunate for Settles as well, as they just locked rear tires just for a second there. But now this has kind of opened up the gap from the front 2 to the rest of the field a little bit here. But having said that, John Bonanno, a bit of a half move to the inside in the cell tower hairpin, not doing it there. And now Austin Queen has a little bit of breathing room as Chris Kutcher and Andy Kutcher close up to the top 2.
Yeah, Bonanno looking for that move there. Oh, issues here, Emery. We got one card off, another card dipping tires into the grass. We'll see if we can identify who that was. That is the 279. That is Chris Kutcher, who was in the lead of this race out here early in heat number 2. So that recovery we were talking about, done in an instant. He is absolutely on the back foot heading into the pre-final later today.
Yeah, instead of helping his position, now this heat is going to really hurt it as he goes all the way to the back of the 24-cart field. And he also looked like he brought his brother with him on the exit of that corner as well. So Andy and Chris both losing out on that one. And again, just like that, the top 2 back to a gap, as it seems like the attrition really setting in early on in this race. But for Heat 1 winner David Goldman, a poor start from him had him back in the field, but he's already up to 4th and looking pretty strong in the early going.
Yeah, definitely a good fight there for 4th as we see Jakob Neri right on the back in P5. He's possibly looking to make a move here on Goldman in front of him. Up front, we still haven't seen Bonanno close quite back to the lead yet. He's getting there, but it's taking a lap or 2 because he made that decisive move, didn't quite get it done, and it caused him to fall back a couple of cart lengths, and it's taken him near a lap just to get back to that rear bumper of Queen out front.
Yeah, that's one of the risks that you tend to have in this sort of race where you're doing half moves, because if you try to make the move and you get halfway there and then have to back out of it, with how much momentum is generated in this KA class, it makes it to where it takes you a couple corners to get back into rhythm, get up to speed, and that couple corners is a few cart lengths, and Bonanno had no one behind him, so it's kind of a risk-free move, but had that been in the pack, it would have been all different. And you can see now, in getting back up to Queen, it's allowed the rest of the field to also come with him. So instead of a 2-cart breakaway, now we have a pack of what looks to be about 7 or 8 carts all right here together.
And we see this all the time in these KA categories. You see a big group bunch up, they fight a little bit, it spreads out, and then a few laps later, everybody's back together. And we saw the top 2 starting to run away, but it could quickly combine back into a 6-cart group fighting for the lead as you see Bonanno all over that rear bumper and Queen in front of him. Austin doing a good job out front, but they got to be careful because Clay Settles lurking in the background, now only a cart length back from your leaders.
Yeah, you can see there, not willing to make a move with Bonanno into the cell tower. I think he understands that's a little bit risky, knowing that he has that whole entire train behind him. So we're not surprised here as he gets the curve on the exit of turn number 12. If he looks for it at the end of the main straightaway, but now he's got Clay Settles right on him. So at this point now, it's pass or pass. If he gets to the last couple corners, you've got the whole pack behind him, and now you know that it's good.
Yeah, and certainly when you see the pack closing up even more with Goldman arriving on the scene now, partly back from your leaders is Bonanno to the inside of Austin Queen. He's going to look for the move into turn 1. He's up the inside clear. He'll bring Clay Settles with him. Settles going up into P2, but he'll dip a tire on the exit. Not quite going to complete that move. He's going to lose one in exchange to David Goldman, dropping him back to P4.
Yeah, it looked like Queen maybe made a little contact in the center of the corner that pushed pushed Settles a little bit wide, and now he's got to fight against David Goldman to try to keep that spot. And we've seen Goldman get his elbows out a lot early on in these heats. Not this time, though. He stays tucked in third, still going to try to cross over Settles. But again, those turn 1 passes where you get 2 or 3 down the inside, the last person to go in is always going to be vulnerable to possibly overcooking it.
Absolutely. You see it all the time into turn 1. You see a cart in front of you make a move. You want to join in on that action, but you have to be so precise with it because you've come off the exit wrong. You're going to lose that spot, and then more behind you, especially if it's a big, tight pack like we're seeing here in your KA Masters. This is heat number 2, so we'll take the average of this in heat number 1 to set your grids for the pre-finals later today, which in turn will set the grids for the mains on Sunday. And as we run here, just under 2 minutes left in this heat, and Bonanno leading the way over Austin Queen, and they're in P3. Clay Settles looking for a move to the inside, not going to go this time.
Yeah, you could see Queen get really deep on the break. It's going to compromise him. It's also going to compromise David Goldman on the exit as he lost a spot by dropping a tire. Now into the shark fin. There we go for Settles. He still overcooks it a little bit, but it looks like this time he'll have the position and done and dusted. Queen going to settle back in behind them as now they're going to have to try to close in on John Bonanno for about 5 cart lengths. Yeah,
the key for these two here is going to be linking up and working together. You have to put the fighting behind you for a minute because we're running out of time here in this heat, and Bonanno's got several cart lengths of an advantage out front. Quickly, though, we're seeing Clay Settles show his pace as he's reeling in that gap as moves are being made farther behind. The battle for P3 raging on side by side through Cell Tower, and it's still continuing here, Emery.
Yeah, you can see there David Golonia took the opportunity there to get 2 into the cell tower. Now how about it for Clay Settles? Whoa, into the scale tower corner. That got sketchy pretty quickly. Again, another half move that cost both of them a good amount of time, but Settles try to move where I don't think we've seen a lot of moves on the KA side of things.
Yeah, it doesn't always work in that turn. We need to get those last couple of 90s. They're very rolling speed centric, so it's going to be hard to get all the way up alongside because it's not that big of a break. So it's a quick tap and then you roll the cart into the corner. Very, very difficult to execute those moves perfectly, and especially not losing time while you're doing it. But still, they have a nice advantage out front. They can sit here for a minute. 10 seconds left on the clock, and then we'll start to line up for the end of this race. But they have 5-7 cart lengths of an advantage to P3 and behind because of that fight a lap ago.
Yeah, and how about it for Ryan Castor in that second group? He has worked his way all the way back from the back of the grid at the start of this one up into the top 5. We've seen Kastner, again, he had a rough start to the day, did not finish heat number 1, had an incident in qualifying that pushed him back a bit, but now in heat 2, he has found his rhythm and is absolutely flying, going purple a couple of laps ago. And now with this group closing in on the top 2, it looks like he has a shot at the win here, Simon, as we get down to about 2 and a bit laps to go. We'll see if Settles pulls the trigger on Bonanno, willing to stay patient for right now.
Certainly, I still think it's anybody's game here with that second group closing every corner, just inching that gap down little by little. You see the 2 leaders coming through the last corner. They'll see sticks in the air this time, and Bonanno with a quick look back, checking the gap to Settles. Settles not quite close enough at the beginning of the straight. Will he be at the end? Not going to look for a move. Opting to settle in line as they fight behind him.
Yeah, you see Castor there to the inside of David Golonia. He'll get himself into 4th briefly, but it doesn't seem like he was able to clear Golonia into 4. They're still side by side. Castor's going to push Golonia up the hill, and now he clears him. And you can see David Goldman falling for 5th, trying to make it 4th on Castor. Going to get his elbows out. Castor holds it around the outside, and all this battling is going to split the top 3 from this group as Goldman goes back to the inside 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great fight. It's certainly not helping their case in fighting for a top 3 finish in this event. The top 3 coming to the white flag next time by, and they've got quite a margin to the carts behind them. It'd have to be some pretty intense battling inside the top 3 to give those guys behind a chance. I mean, Kasner's well out of it now. It's all about these top 3s. We're going to get the white flag next time by. As I say that, though, the draft is going to play a big role, and passes in inopportune corners like this are going to play an effect. Bonanno holding the outside, not going to let that one move go through. He'll retain the lead coming through the last couple of corners now. He'll see the white flag this time by.
Yeah, I think if Settles wants to make that move, he's got to send it a little bit earlier and get a little better run on the exit of turn 13. But in the meantime, down the main straightaway, you can see Bonanno being able to defend the inside there. Queen's going to try for a crossback, but I think the top 3 all kind of gridlocked a bit here. But having said that, Settles going to send one to the inside of the shark fin. He'll go side by side on exit, but Settles has it, and he's into the lead here.
A big move into Monza for Settles to take the lead. Bonanno cycling back. He'll come out in the lead off the exit of scoreboard, somehow making that inside line work. Settles getting a little bit sideways on the exit. Now he's in 3 wide battle for the final couple of podium places in this heat race. Side by side for P2 as well, but it is Bonanno out front taking off with the same.
Yeah, and we see Austin Queen around. We see
on the exit. Now he's in 3 wide battle for the final couple of podium places in this heat race, side by side for P2 as well, but it is Bonanno out front taking off with this thing.
Yeah, and we see Austin Queen around. We see multiple carts around. There's your Heat 1 winner, David Goldman. I believe that's one of the other carts in there as well. Anthony Stifler looks to be off the track. So we've lost 3 of your main contenders. There's a big crash in the background, and there you see more fighting for that second spot. At the front, it's been an uneventful last half lap for John Bonanno, but it is chaos behind him in heat number 2, Simon.
With a decisive move at the right time, Bonanno's going to score the win in KA Masters heat number 2. Carts dipping tires off the exit, coming in the line. It's been a battle from start to finish, and they continue.